indies are doing so hot. So, let me just start here. What's the secret sauce behind the explosive power of indies? Jack, I'll start with you.
For me, I think it's skin in the game. So I think when you've got owners and directors of businesses working in the business, working with clients and working on the work, then we genuinely care about the outcomes. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think for me is there's this passion revival, I think, coming from an indies right now, where a lot of people started their careers feeling really excited, and then they've come to independence and seeing so much excitement going on that it's just there. Everyone's finding this passion again. It's really like inspiring. It's sort of going everywhere now, so it's really good.
Yeah, to build on Jack's comment, I think it's intrinsic in the fact when you have the owner and the founder engaged in the day-to-day operations and making the decisions on, you know, who stays and who do you recruit and those sorts of things. You build a business around your people. You care deeply about your people. You care deeply about your business because, you know, you put skin in the game, and you care deeply about your clients. It's all intrinsically linked. I think that's why indies are doing so well.
Amazing.
Adrian, 100%. And I agree with all of that, and to build on it, I've found there's this real sense of freedom and control that you have within the business, and you know, it's a very dynamic industry that we work in. You need to make decisions all the time, every day. You need to be really genuinely adaptive, and having that real freedom and control to be adaptive, genuinely be adaptive, that's the biggest thing I've noticed coming into the indie world.
That's really important at the moment because it's, you know, incredibly, for our generation, it's never been so dynamic. You know, we've, really encountering difficulties, major difficulties economically, through COVID, through what's going on in, macroeconomics at the moment. It's a challenging time, so you need that adaptability.
Yeah. You're really empowered to make the decisions that you need to make on the spot.
Amazing. Next, what's your favourite success story with indies making waves in Australia? Adrian, we'll start with you.
Oh yeah, sure. At the risk of this sounding more like a PR love-in than it already is, I'd say, and I sincerely mean this, I think AFFINITY and what Angela's doing at AFFINITY is really, really impressive. As everyone is, there's many, many wonderful agencies out there, and it's not just indies. I think there's some whole coast and agencies within the whole coast doing some really, really good work. What I like about AFFINITY is the genuine focus on people and the employer experience side of things. They picked us to the post in the AFR Best Place to Work last year. Then it's this, and as Martin Sorrell said, the future of what we do within advertising, really strong capability in digital data tech. I think that's really, really important. But then most importantly, bringing all that together to create impact for clients. And I think that's where the game is, right? And a few people have spoken about that, but impact is probably one of the most important things that we need to focus on as an industry for our clients. And AFFINITY has won tons of WARC awards, and the proof's there. So
I feel like he's trying to get a job there. I think the big, it would be remiss of me as chair of the IMAA not to mention the industry body, but I think that's been the biggest success for our industry collectively. We now have this collective voice. We now have, procured deals for things that agencies couldn't afford before. We're lobbying, and I think we've got a greater awareness. I mean, I don't know how many in the audience are CMOs, but we're now getting on more pitch lists than we ever did because there's this great awareness. And we were just talking in the green room about how there's something really unique about the indies, that we really have each other's back and we want to see each other succeed. So when Jimmy wins last Friday night, we're all winning with him, and so there is something really great about the collective success, I think.
Amazing. In today's market, what is the greatest challenges indies have when they go head-to-head with the wholeco?
Look, I think the biggest challenge that we have in a pitch situation is probably the clients themselves. So there's so many different types of indies. You've got big ones, you've got small ones. And yesterday, Jen Davidson and Graham Webster spoke around the small agencies getting onto pitches and needing a profile and needing scale, but also just a regular presence in market. And I think because there's so many different types of indies out there, it takes a long time to get to that. And there's probably a handful that are really sort of up there. And I think in that sense, it's almost we need to disbar the word of indies versus holdco in a pitch, because in a pitch, you've got client versus agency versus agency, and it's everyone for themselves. And I think For some of the smaller indies though, it's really how do we start to get the client to take trust and take a leap of faith that we can actually deliver some really amazing work, instead of just sort of going on the fallback option of a holdco sort of safety net. Because there's probably a lot of really great thinking, really great ideas and passion and culture and service out there that's sort of yet to be untapped. So.
But I think to your point, I think we're often considered the red herring or the risky option, and I would challenge any CMO on that, because you know a lot of our staff have come from a whole range of different backgrounds, and we bring just as great clever thinking and great results for our clients than anyone. So I think we're starting to see that. I don't know if you guys are finding that, but we're starting to see it shift where, you know, when we get knocked out, I always ask, is that please tell me there's an indie still in, and there often is. And so they often used to throw one of us in there as, oh, that'll be a bit left field. So I think you're right. I think it's that client perception that we can't do what the others can do. And one of the other perceptions I think we always have to combat is that we can't handle a global account. And it's just not true. So any of those pitch doctors who are not putting us on the global accounts, you need to have a chat to some of us, because a lot of us are already doing global work, and so I think it's changing client perception.
And I love that, to build on you Jenny, that just redefining, actually taking the definition of indies and holdcos out of the criteria. It should be, you know, what outcome are you seeking as a CMO in terms of the selection process? Who is going to be your best partner? Take those two factors or parameters out of the equation and look at the criteria that will make a difference.
Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. Addressing the elephant in the room, occasionally indies get a bit of flack for not being at the mercy of their client whims. Have you thought the perception of that and the relationships with your clients? Do you feel that? Adrian, I'll start with you.
No, I've never really thought of that as an observation at all. My experience has been that the relationships that we have with our clients are the best I've ever experienced. I think they're really close, trusted. They're more towards that partnership. I feel that they're more towards that partnership level, and you're working really collaboratively. I feel more empowered to have really open conversations with clients than I ever have before. We had an experience the last couple of weeks where the client's needs have changed. We were working closely with them to ensure that we had the right capability around that business, and that led to a conversation around an increase in retainer. And that didn't feel awkward at all. It just felt like a really sort of natural, organic conversation that felt more like a partnership to me than anything else. So I don't agree with that kind of observation at all, that we're the whim of our clients. And that I think that we're, you know, and I've worked in holdcos, and no disrespect to them, and I know the tools that they often use, and we have the ability to use all of those tools. If not others, we can partner with whoever we like. We partner with some of the best tech partners, data partners in market. A lot of them are here today, and we're really well placed to be able to ensure that we're able to, you know, draw on our experience, relationship with other clients and our partners to deliver amazing work and impactful work for our clients. So
I think you touched on it before, Sam, about the dynamic and the environment has changed a lot from when it was holdcos versus indies, from a TV buying perspective and that scale and that buying power. Now you've actually got this digital smarts coming, and from these independent agencies who've just got these passionate people who've left, and they're so passionate in what they do, they just wanted to create their own thing. And so now there's this incredible smarts that are sort of floating around in all different types of agencies, and it's really leveled that playing field a lot. I think there's no denying, like, the service levels that you're so close to the business, and you can be that. It's not a brilliant pitch team and then you get the business and then you've got a raft of juniors working on the account. You're pretty much working, you're in and around all the client's business. So it's kind of less agency and more business partner is sort of how we sort of see it.
We had a client who's actually up here with us, and we were just having a coffee with him yesterday, and he said, what I really love about working with the media store is that you consider me a tier 1 client, even though I know my spend doesn't reflect it. And so I think it was really heartwarming, because I think that's what the clients feel in an indie, when there is that skin in the game, that we actually care about their business, their success, them looking good to their C-suite. So, you know, and we can sit here and talk about that we think the client service is better, but, you know, I'm sure all of you guys are part of it too, but, you know, we have independent surveys. So we're part of Appraise, we're part of TRR, and we're above benchmarks. We've got an average 9 TRR last round. So we've got data to back up the fact we do a really good job making sure that that we're adapting to the clients, we're leading them forward, and to your point, we're being tech and digi first. So.
Amazing. Ange, what are your thoughts?
Oh, look, just to add to everything I agree with, but if we are copying flack for over-servicing or having deep relationships, I'm all for that. Bring it on. Literally, it's part of our DNA to build those really deep, enduring relationships, and to behave proactively, to always be thinking, as a genuine business partner. I think that comes back to, as I was saying earlier, the intrinsic nature of an indie is that you are business thinkers through and through. You're not just delivering an output or a service. You're actually really embedded in the success of the client's business. So that comes through. If that's something to call flack for, fine, I'll take it.
But there's probably a little bit of a rumour, not a rumour, but something that you're not really supposed to talk about. There's a lot of indies that actually build through a holding group and back end through a holding group. So the access to tools and the buying power and that scale is still there for a lot of indies. So it's a bit of a balance of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah. Jack, you and I were talking earlier on about some of the things that indies bring to the table, about experience. Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
About experience, yeah, so I was just looking at some stats because I do love my data, and the average industry experience across Australia at the moment in agencies is 7 years, and the last IMAA salary survey was 9.3. In fact, over 25% of us have been over in the industry more than 10 years. So there's this real richness of experience coupled with fresh new thinking that I think clients really value. And I think when a client comes in, a bit like what my client was saying yesterday, they don't get shoved to the junior team. They get access to all the senior talent, and I think they value that. We're also really proud in the indies that we double the amount of over 50s in our agencies, and I think that's something that I know Sparrow and there's a bunch of us that are really committed to trying to change some of the ageism that sits in our industry, and for us to have double, I think something that we're incredibly proud of. And I think if anyone ever challenged to say that that means we're not fresh thinking or we can't move forward, then you wouldn't be in this industry because it's just moving so quick. So yeah, so it's exciting. I think the value proposition that we can offer.
Yeah, I don't feel that, obviously someone might say that doesn't mean we're fresh, but it's literally that experience and that stability. Sometimes we outlast some of our clients in terms of being on the brand, so that's priceless. So yeah, it's definitely those values of enduring stability and consistency and understanding the business for the clients that adds that value and that impact.
Yeah. The talent war is raging to a degree. It's kind of calmed down a little bit now. But what are the tips and what are some of the secrets that you guys see that indies are attracting talent? Adrian, I'll start with you.
Yeah, look, opportunity, number one, right? Like there's been strong growth within indies, and so there's this opportunity to come and work with some great people, some really experienced people on some great accounts. I think a lot of the indies, and you sort of see this come up in a lot of the awards and recognition, best places to work and so on. There is a really, really strong focus on the people side of things, people and culture, on crafting jobs for the individual. I mean, this job crafting thing, I think a lot of indies are quite well placed to do that. They can obviously structure their business exactly how they want to structure their business, right? So they're not beholden to organisational kind of process and structure and the same jobs for, there's a lot more sort of flexibility and customisation, I think, so that job crafting thing. And when jobs are crafted well for people, they're just a lot more engaged, within the process, and they stay there for longer too, right? So, diversity and inclusion is a really, really big focus for our business, and I'm sure it is for you guys as well. And so making sure people are feeling really, happy, included at work. But we have performance development plans and all of those kind of things that you would expect in a business, particularly businesses at scale that really care about their people. But one of the things that I think none of that matters for me unless your people and the teams are well resourced. And I do think one of the biggest challenges that we have within our industry is just not resourcing our teams well enough. And you hear it all the time, people overworked, burning out, so on and so forth, and I think that's been exacerbated through these times. So, yeah, that's the bottom line for me, Sam. You know, so it's like, get your stuff to revenue ratio up high. You know, don't skimp on that sort of thing. You give people enough time to be able to do the job they want to do properly. Because if they feel they've not actually got enough time to do their job properly, then they're not going to be engaged, they're going to get frustrated, stressed and leave. And they're not going to be able to work on all of those things that you've outlined them on their career development plan to go, this is a great opportunity for you. You know, go to Cairns, you know, but so I don't want to take 3 hours out of the office because I've got, you know, 60 hours of work to do back here. And so, yeah, it comes down to resourcing.
Yeah. Ange?
Yeah, it's you know, brings me great joy, fellow, in terms of Adrian doing really well in the HR and P&C awards like AFR Boss. The Indies, it might surprise you, really overrepresented in all of those awards. Again, I think speaking to data points and whatnot, I mean, those sorts of, you might say, oh, look, you know, that's a bit of a popularity context. Well, a lot of those, the AFR Boss, for example, is based on an anonymous survey. 50% of that criteria is literally can't be gamed. It's literally how your people are feeling. It's a very rigorous, in-depth, anonymous survey. So, you know, we stand by the fact that, and you know, well done to you guys too, consistently doing well there. And I think that comes down to, we were talking about this a little bit before, that we're all really proud of our agencies, but we're all actually very different. And I think that's really important to remember. You know, we get lumped into this basket of indies. We're not all homogenous indies. We actually have very distinctive brand stories to tell. And I think, again, you think of any great brand that you think out there, whether, I don't know, whether you're an Elon Musk fan or, you know, a Steve Jobs, but any great brand out there has a really distinctive leader or a founder. And I think in our own ways, not to put us in that company, but speak for yourselves, we have a very distinctive brand flavour. And, you know, if we're really careful about that, to your point, Adrian, we imbue that in everything that we do on a day-to-day basis. We build the whole experience, the employee experience around that. And that's really important. And I think that's another reason beyond the nuts and bolts of resourcing and just looking after our people and caring about them, that we particularly have done really well from a talent situation. I think, you know, we've all grown respectively in the last couple of years. So it's not been a challenge for us because we have something to come to, and if you're one of us, you kind of know it and you stay and you have a great time and you thrive and you grow. In fact, our employee value proposition is to go to bed smarter every night than when you woke up in the morning, because our brand purpose is all around thinking.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we create, everything we do every day is to try and build better thinking, space for thinking, mental wellness, about being able to think, you know, all of those things. So it becomes really easy when you have a strong brand purpose.
I think to build on that, we also have license to be the guinea pigs of a lot of perceived policies and things like that. So, I mean, a holdco does have to go through the global sense checks and approvals where we can kind of come up with some initiatives and ideas. And just speaking for ourselves, we've got the profit share, so we give away profits to staff. We started the 9-day fortnights. You've got half day, we've got unlimited leave. Like, this is some pretty wild shit, and you can't really, excuse my French, but you can't do that in a holding group. So it's really cool to start it and have the license and the freedom to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then others can sort of take learnings from that and then see how they can be implemented. But it's a big drawing card, and it's all built for the people.
And we'll just
I'm just going to jump in, sorry Sam. But just to build on that, we actually can fail with them. We can just try things. And so I think what makes us unique is we're actually really listening to not just our own people, but what talent wants, and go, you know what, let's give that a go. You know, we had some working parents who didn't want to do the drinks after work, so we're like, no problem. So the guys did a breakfast club. You know, so we're always just listening, experimenting, and trying to make it a place that, quite frankly, I think everyone's lives are so stressful that you just want to come to work and have a good time and work on great clients and really enjoy the people that you hang out with. And so I think, to your point, I think that the value proposition is different, it's unique, it's fun, and I think we do really stand out in this talent space, and we collectively have not had a talent problem, which is exciting. So, and they come home. When they go and visit the green side, then they come home because they're like, that wasn't as great as I thought. And to your point, Adrian, they're not resourced. They're working on ridiculous amounts of clients, and they come home going, oh gosh, I just have to do this.
It's because
really
they're people,
well.
though, they're not resources. I think, that's a really big difference. And also, our decisions, to your point, you can do some crazy shit, right? Because you get to decide. It's not glacial. You don't have to report to anyone. You make that decision, at a senior level. And we can be really agile and go, well, that didn't work. Let's try this. So it's great to have that passion and freedom you were talking to.
And that's why it's really all credit to the holding groups, because they develop some really amazing talent and that breadth of experience and that scale and multiple clients and people and process working with big clients. They're a really great pool for us to still start from. So thank you. Sorry for taking your staff. But it's really exciting because when you see those people come back and come into an indie, it's like all the things that they've learned, and then they get this extra feeling of this work-life balance and this passion. It just creates this crazy energy, and it's never seen it before.
And you opened with it, that I feel like there is, particularly some of our junior talent, they're exhausted, they're disillusioned, and they're leaving in droves. Yet when they come home or come back to one of ours, they're like, this is what it used to be like, this is what it should be like. And it's been exciting to see and be able to reignite their passion for what we do. So it's exciting. Sorry, Sam.
That's all right. You mentioned before you went to a 9-day fortnight.
Yes.
How's that working out for you guys?
Amazing. I mean, when we told the staff, I think that first initial feeling and the vibe of when all the staff found out, obviously they were getting nearly nine weeks off of the year. It was impressive, but it wasn't the fact that we're just launching that. It was something at a conference where the people actually came up with that idea to do it, and it took us 3 weeks to consult with clients, do a bit of research and implement it. So super quick turnaround time. But most of our clients, and every time when we called all of our clients, most of them had a form of some sort of Friday flexibility option. And there's some really great case studies out there. Unilever, they're sort of implementing that or have implemented that. Like government, they're doing it as well. It's probably the way that the future is going. 4-day work weeks are probably a little bit too much, but a 9-day fortnight is a good stepping stone. And no loss in productivity, just sort of an uplift in energy. So I recommend it to everyone to kick it off.
Well done. And we've got time for one last question, a bit of advice for anyone out there thinking, and probably half of you are thinking about starting your own indie. What advice would you give the guys? Adrian, I'll start with...
Well, look, I've never started an indie. That was Jack Byrne that started Hatched. And if you ask Jack Byrne, he'd probably say something like, go hard or go home. Because it's not easy. And you guys would attest to that, particularly over the last few years through COVID. And I was just so impressed with Jack and his leadership through that period of time, riding the waves, and you don't have a huge load of global credit to fall back on, in a local market, right? So it's not all the bed of roses in the indies. There's a few risks you have to mitigate. So you need to be really committed. You need to have the energy, and I think to succeed, a real genuine care for people, a passion for people. Jack started the business, and he says this all the time, because he saw the opportunity to do better for the industry. Really passionate about being the catalyst of positive change in the industry, and I think Hatch has done a great job in leading that charge along with others. And so it is a commitment, it's resilience, certainly passion.
Amazing. Ange?
I would say talk to us before you do anything. While we're having a love-in, Sam, it's, the IMAA has been amazing in terms of generating a genuine connection and sense of fraternity or sorority, whatever you want to say, in terms of having, we've got 160 plus agencies that talk to one another, lean on one another, confide on one another, congratulate one another. It's just come and talk to us. We'll be honest. We'll talk to you about the fact that it isn't a bed of roses. It's the only thing I would say, if you want to get on a 24/7 wild ride, maybe it's for you. But chat first and do it second.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I would say get an advisory board to start, in terms of a couple of people that have done it before. Don't hire anyone for as long as you can. I think you've got to get through that first 12 months, 2-year period, and then after that, just have fun. It's kind of this weird blend of stress and challenge and freedom and excitement, and it's all mashed together, and it's a pretty fun ride.
That's so true. That's nice. I would say it's not for the faint-hearted, and I think you know, even just moving through, so I was homegrown, moved through the agency, had numerous roles, ended up being C-suite, and then when you jump into owning it, it's a whole nother ball game in terms of what keeps you up at night. And you're continually worried about the health of clients and health of your people, and yeah, it's not fun at times. It's not. There's many sleepless nights. But to your point, there's this beautiful tapestry of fun and energy, and there's this sense that you're building something together. So my piece of advice would be make sure that you find a great business partner that has your back, and that you have a great bunch of people that want to build it with you. And because once they come on that journey, there's something that you are collectively very proud of. So.
Amazing, guys. And we're out of time, so everyone please thank our guests today.